Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. We want to leave as much time as we can for Rylan and for your interaction, of course. I'm going to put my, if I look weird for a minute, forgive me because I'm going to raise my headset a little bit so I can get my notes to introduce Rylan. So let me welcome you to our third fireside of the Virtual World Society. This is an opportunity for us to spend time with those whom we love and who we share the same values and so forth. And we really have a special guest today, Rylan Daniels. Now, I first met Rylan and we decided it was 2017, and he was 15 years old at the AWE conference. I met him at our booth, the Virtual World Society booth, with his parents. And it's interesting now that here in 2019, 2 years later, he was the recipient of the Nextant Spirit Prize. Now, let me explain that a little bit. We at the Virtual World Society have sort of conjured up this name, the Nextant. Now, the Nextant is a term we use to describe a new way to navigate into our future. It combines the desire to know what's next with a navigation tool, the sextant, used by mariners to basically look forward to the horizon to guide their course. Now, the VWS Nextant prizes are awarded annually to persons who others can turn to for inspiration, guidance, and role modeling, and who have exhibited an empathetic passion for building the best future reality that is possible for our civilization. So it recognizes and honors extraordinary contribution to the development of virtual reality and related technologies to lift humanity. Actually, we like to think of the Nextant Prize as the Nobel Prize in VR, AR, XR, so forth. Now, Rylan was awarded the Nextant Spirit Prize at a ceremony at AWE 2019, about a year ago. And the Spirit Prize is a special one that honors the fearless spirit of youth to think big, yet start small, but act now to take on challenges that face the world. Now, in Rylan's case, it turns out that he's been developing virtual and augmented reality apps for about 5 years, over 5 years.
Yeah,
And he's still in high school. Is that right, Rylan?
that's right. That's right. I mean, actually, I'm just graduating right now, and in light of the coronavirus, so we're having a virtual VR graduation, actually.
Okay. Well, not only that, he is a founder and president of his VR AR club, where he leads students through developing coding VR AR apps at his high school. Now, get this. In addition to receiving this Nextant Prize, he has an app, Frankenstein AR 200, published on the Apple App Store, that led to an invitation from Snapchat to develop AR lenses for their new developer tools. And Rylan also won first prize for the best VR app at the Upload VR juried competition for his AR journey through the human brain. I think we'll see some images of that later. So Rylan, get this now. Rylan is a fellow at the Los Angeles Philharmonic as a young composer, where pieces were pioneered, where he wrote these pieces that were premiered at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. He's also a contributor to the technology section of the Los Angeles Times, in addition to other things. So here Rylan composes music. He's also, he might get a chance to talk about, he's actually working with a brain surgeon at Stanford University, working on new ways to guide surgeons in their neurosurgery activities. So this young man is a world treasure, and we're so happy to invite him to our chat room. He is also a senior advisor in the Virtual World Society. So Rylan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Let's have some fun. and tell us about what you see as the future, because you're the one that's going to make it, right?
Well, I mean, I certainly hope so. I mean, thank you so much, Tom, for such a wonderful introduction there. I mean, I'm so honored to be in your presence, and I actually look forward to getting your ideas, because I mean, really, the mission here is that we can only create the future and make a better world if we work together and collaborate to kind of create a future that can truly benefit society. And I think VR and AR are the really instrumental medium to achieve that. Awesome. All right. Well, I am, as Tom said, Rylan Daniels. I'm an 18-year-old VR AR developer, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys about what is the future of VR. Next slide, please. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the projects I do that both help to visualize what the future might look like in terms of, how virtual and augmented reality might impact our world in the future, and also how we can use VR and AR right now in a collaborative way to create the future. So I'm gonna kind of share my vision for how all these different metaverses will impact all of our lives collaboratively, and then we'll open it up to a fireside chat style for questions and answers. Next slide, please. So I started my journey as a kid. I was honored to win a national competition to be a kid reporter for a Time magazine, where I was fortunate to interview true industry icons in technology from NASA and Nintendo and many other places. And I was just very inspired by their stories to actually create technology myself. Next slide, please. And more recently, as Tom said, I'm a reporter for the Los Angeles Times, where I cover all the big conventions about VR and AR, like VRLA and the Augmented World Expo and SIGGRAPH. And it's just such a wonderful opportunity to interact with the VR and AR community, because it is really us. We are the future that are going to really change the world with virtual and augmented reality. Next slide, please. In 2016, I created this app you see here. It is a VR journey through the human brain. You put in your headset and actually explore the different neuron passageways of the hippocampus. So I created this virtual world based off of real medical imagery of the human brain, and it serves both as a learning tool to learn about the brain while experiencing this story about the future. This world about the brain imagines a future maybe 30 years from now where everyone has AI chips implanted into their brain. It's more ubiquitous than the iPhone, actually, and everyone's intelligence is actually increased through cognitive capacities enabled by a computer. But this also has the reverse effect of being able to have your brain actually hacked. And so the player has to actually enter the brain and essentially save the human brain from this AI virus that is manipulating the brain. So I think this represents why when we design technology, we always have to consider the potential consequences that arise from it and how to design them to actually make a totally positive impact. Next slide, please. Now another app I created, it's called Frankenstein AR200, and it celebrates the 200th anniversary of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein novel, which is a wonderful bicentennial anniversary. Now, it is an AR app. It is a augmented reality geospatial app, which technologically is inspired by Pokemon Go, where you can find these different monster body parts around the world around you, and you have to collect them. And once you've collected enough body parts, you can actually recreate and build Frankenstein's monster. So this is an example of how I used modern, futuristic augmented reality technology to bring back elements of a past culture. In fact, it's kind of a great melding of the past and the future. George Orwell had a great quote that who controls the past controls the future. And I think that that's very true, that we always have to take into account lessons from history in order to recreate a more positive, better world that can contribute to society. Next slide, please. And so this app was actually noticed by a Snapchat, who was able to fortunately invite me to develop a lens for their new developer tools. And they gave me kind of free reign to create what I wanted. So I was very fascinated by space exploration. And I thought it would be a great idea to create this lens called Fly Me to the Moon, where when you activate the lens in the Snapchat camera, it turns your face into the moon emoji. And when you open your mouth, a rocket ship flies out of it like a comet and then lands on the top of your head onto the surface of the moon. And it's intended to have a message about inspiring continuous exploration. And what's interesting is that by now, over 60,000 people have actually used this lens, and it shows that there is a real interest in the community to continue to explore and persevere, and space is just one of those ways. And it shows that even in a world that might have a lot of darkness in it, a lot of evil things, we are able to empower the future by coming together. Next slide, please. Now, also going on the space theme, I'm currently developing an app for the Magic Leap 1 called Colonize Mars. And it enables people to build a colony on Mars while taking into account many of the hardships that might be involved in that, if that's the weather impact, how to manage food and resources, how do we actually live together, the kind of psychological troubles that might arise from living in close quarters on a Mars colony. So this is one way of how I try to visualize a future scenario of Mars colonization through today's current virtual and augmented reality technologies. Next slide, please. Now, something I do at my school was I created and founded the Virtual and Augmented Reality Club, where I lead fellow students through the creation of virtual and augmented reality apps. And I'd like to discuss with you a multi-user augmented reality escape room that attempted to encourage greater collaboration and teamwork in order to solve problems. Next slide, please. So I think it is important to note here that the team we had is split up in engineers who are responsible for the coding and the technology, and also the artists who have to model and kind of do some world building, and also the storyboarders who have to really formulate a story that kind of brings together the engineering and the design of the app. And I share this because I think it is instrumental that we'll need to collaborate regardless of our backgrounds, regardless of where we came from, and regardless of our expertise. We're going to have to meld both aspects of art and design and world building, and also technological development. And we're going to have to kind of learn vocabulary that is more open and collaborative in nature. Next slide, please. And I'd like to illustrate an example of this, of how this collaboration might be possible. So while we were planning out this escape room experience, which also takes place in space, by the way, there's kind of a theme here, right, about space. We had the artists create and find concept art of the spaceship environment, while the engineers, as you can see on this mini map at the top right, would plan out the kind of placement of this spaceship room location in context of the larger experience as a whole, so they can use that for prototyping. And then the storyboarders would figure out how to kind of tie this all together and merge it to kind of bridge minds in that sense. Next slide, please. And this is another example of how now in like this like engineering room of the spaceship, we would see it's situated in a different location of the whole escape room. And so people have to solve puzzles in this spaceship. So people would like find a code in like one room and have to bring that to the other room. So there's kind of this storyboarding process of connecting all these different ideas. And this is just one example of how we can prototype with today's VR technology in order to imagine what the future might be like. Next slide, please. Last summer, I was fortunate to intern at experimental design with the legendary Alex McDowell, who has done the world building for films like Minority Report and The Lawnmower Man, two films that I think are very important to understanding how the future might be like. And during my time there, I created this augmented reality simulation on an iPad of a floating city of the future. So it's this city that's floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And it's created there because in 2050, millions of people are predicted to be displaced by climate change. So it's a really big issue, and it might be 30 years out right now, but we really do have to work today to hope to achieve that future and not leave it to the last minute. So this prototype I created, it demonstrated possibly how the different structures that are necessary to maintaining human survival would play out in the middle of the ocean. You have a residential area, a desalination area, a market area, different areas that interact with each other. And I think this floating city, and also the Mars colony are just ways that we might actually live in the future. I mean, it's possible. I mean, who here has ever thought about maybe living on Mars or like living in a different city? I mean, this is a definitely possible. Next slide, please. So I've talked a bit about my projects that showcase how we can use the tools of today to imagine the future. But now I'd like to show some current developments in virtual and augmented reality technology that could impact all of our lives. Next slide, please. So I fundamentally believe that actually the future is totally in social VR. Just like we're doing today in alt space, we are able to interact with each other at unprecedented levels. Millions of people can coexist in this unified environment and collaborate and connect in ways that were just never before possible. Now, this is actually a still from a game called Second Life. This is actually from 20 years ago, but already back then, they could have 10 million concurrent users interact with each other in the same world. And they could even sell virtual real estate, conduct virtual business, teach virtual classes. And so this is kind of promising for what the future might be like. Next slide, please. Now, of course, in light of the novel COVID-19 pandemic, medical VR and telemedicine are really important ways that virtual and augmented reality technology should be used. Now, this is a clip from the Oxford Medical Simulation, also known as OSM, and they've created simulations not only for how to use ventilators and respirators, but also for teaching medical workers and training them in how to treat things like gastrointestinal bleeding and heart attacks and other non-COVID things, so that the real specialists can totally focus on saving people's lives from this deadly virus. Next slide, please. And beyond VR, AR is also a really critical way to achieve medical treatment and medical training. So the holograms could project virtual imagery on top of the patients to even further enable doctors and medical workers to give back and really make meaningful impact. Next slide, please. Now, you might think of VR and social VR like this today, where people are kind of locked into VR headsets and really, it's the VR headsets controlling us, not the other way around. And we're kind of imprisoned by these machines that are implanted onto our face, kind of like the brain experience I talked about earlier, where an AI chip would control everyone. Next slide, please. But I think the true reality is that VR enables us during all times, if it's hard times, easy times, to connect and collaborate on unprecedented ways that were just never before possible. It enables us to actually have these kinds of seminars like we are right now, and whether it's Zoom or AltSpace or Facebook or any social platform, it is a way to stay connected. And I'm just so excited by the possibilities that this opens up for people to create these kinds of experiences. Next slide, please. So I fundamentally believe that the future is the vast interconnected coexistence of everything, absolutely everything we do, from the way we work to play to collaborate to communicate. It's going to be the future. Next slide, please. But I think that already today, the internet is a planet-sized virtual reality that connects everyone. I'll say that again. The internet is a planet-sized virtual reality that connects everyone. I mean, everyone. Billions of people, billions with a B, are able to interact with each other in ways that were just never before possible. We are living in a fundamentally unique and pivotal moment in history where we have the tools and the possibilities to create the future, and it's now up to us to actually do it. Next slide, please. Now, I'd like to show some industry examples of how we could create these social VR futures. This is from Magic Leap. They had this idea of the Magic Verse, which is like several digital layers of information that are superimposed over the real world. You have a layer for healthcare, a layer for restaurants and eateries, a layer for communication and entertainment. And all these layers serve to open up our understanding of the world. So we have access to more information than ever before, and also more access to the people that are in this world, so we can solve more problems. Next slide, please. Another example is from the game Fortnite. It's a very popular example, and right now, just to be clear, it's not actually a VR experience, and it's actually just pretty much a game for now. But recently, Fortnite has been used for other non-gaming applications, such as virtual concerts and virtual gatherings, that have actually attracted millions of people. The Travis Scott concert recently and the Marshmello concert, people could participate those in new ways that were never before possible. And I know, during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's a hard time. We're all facing challenging struggles, especially when we lose the kind of social connectivity that we once had. But in some ways, a virtual world's opened up possibilities that were just never before possible. And while maybe thousands of people could be in a concert hall once, millions, and in the future, hopefully billions, can all connect together. Next slide, please. Now, Facebook, I mean, we can think what we want about Facebook, but Facebook is also a pioneer in this social VR technology. They own the Oculus platform. This is a still from Facebook Horizon, which is an upcoming virtual reality platform that I think is very much inspired by the Oasis from Ready Player One. Who here loves Ready Player One? Emote if you like Ready Player One. Yeah. I mean, I love Ready Player One. It's just a fantastic visualization of the future. And Facebook Horizon, it really aims to do just that. We can connect billions of people around the world and we can play games together. We can do drawings together, and use our creativity and imagination to build new kinds of worlds. And it'll just be a collective universe where we can actually work and collaborate in this kind of virtual reality where. And that kind of bleak image I showed before of everyone in headsets, it might look bleak now, but once you're in the virtual reality, it opens up new possibilities in healthcare, entertainment, gaming, collaboration that are just have never been possible before. Next slide, please. I'd like to show this image from a popular film called Hyper Reality, and it really showed kind of this ultimate merging of virtual information and the real world that also has social applications because, for example, when you're in the grocery store and shopping for food, there are many variables here. The other people there, the different items there, and augmented reality serves to better enable our understanding of the real world as well. So I think the future is both in VR and AR as well. And I think actually VR and AR, more than other technologies, has actually the biggest potential to impact us. And here's why. Next slide, please. I think that, AI is an incredible technology, by the way. It can totally revolutionize how machines can help us through different machine learning algorithms and deep learning algorithms. But frankly, the stuff about like AGI and artificial general intelligence, which means an AI that can like think to the same cognitive capacity as humans do, I think it's a bit far out, and it won't really impact our current state of humanity anytime soon. And also Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are another very hyped technology that many people are using, but fundamentally, I don't think, at least in the short term, it's going to totally replace the currencies of the world, the dollar, the euro, the yen. I think those are going to be systems that continue to be in circulation. But VR and AR, it's mind-blowing because it totally revolutionizes how we see each other, how we talk to each other. I mean, it's an absolute miracle that the internet exists and I can talk to you guys right now. I mean, it's so wonderful to see you guys here, this wonderful community of creators, because through VR and AR, not necessarily through AI and Bitcoin, but it is a VR and AR, that is the technology that actually connects us in this shared environment that really enables greater collaboration on a planetary scale. Next slide, please. So that's what I got for you today, and I hope this starts to inspire questions about what the future of VR and AR might be like, and how we can use the world of today to create the world of tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Let's give a.
So I think
let's give
we'll
a
open it up now to fireside chat. And if you have questions,
good.
I think
Good.
you can raise your hand, and we'll call on you.
And yeah, let's want to Rylan for that stirring presentation.
Hold on one second. Hold on.
And
My audio, I think. Hold on one second.
your audio is fine. We hear you fine.
Oh yes. Hi. I can hear. I can hear you guys now.
Okay. Great. So
great.
what we want to do now is open this up for interaction and questions, comments from the audience, from our fireside friends, we should say. And I think you can see why we wanted to invite Rylan, and he represents really our, when we have the logo of the Virtual World Society, where the adult is sort of holding up the child. Well, actually, Rylan, we're holding you up because you can see further than we can. So you're up there. You have to tell us what you see and guide us in what we need to do. So let's open it up for questions. And Laurel, are you working with us on this?
I am, or Eva is. Eva, are you doing it?
Okay, more questions.
Somebody. I have the first
I can
question.
I can do it. Oh, you got
Okay,
it.
go for it.
Okay.
But I still have the
Eva's
first
good.
question.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, how do you do this? Isn't everyone thinking the same thought? How do you manage your time? How do you manage all the things you need to do? I mean, is your brain just that big? I mean, how do you manage this?
That's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking. I mean, yeah, I get asked that a lot. I think uh, I'm just so excited to try to find ways to improve humanity and create a better world, and especially through virtual and augmented reality. That's my biggest passion, and it's also my biggest hope for the world. And uh, I think the key is really in and things have really come out of wanted to go from one project and then move on to this one, but as I showed, one project led to the other. The brain app led to the Frankenstein app. The Frankenstein app led to my Snapchat lens. So it's kind of like one thing leads to another, and that's why I'm just so excited about the future, because all of us collaborating here right now, even if we're not yet working on something, we might sooner than you think. And I think fireside chats like these will lead to something greater in the future.
All right. Nice answer. Carlos, would you like to take the megaphone right now? I'm going to give it to you. There you go.
Hey, Rylan.
Carlos?
I'm right here in the front.
Hi.
Cheers.
Where are you, Carlos?
Right here.
Oh, great. I see. Hi. Hello.
Hey. So congratulations on being 18 and being able to enjoy the amazing world that you're entering or already part of. I understand that you're graduating. Is that, or have you already graduated?
I'm about to graduate. Yeah.
So what if you had, when you sleep on or lay down to go to sleep and you dream about stuff that you would love to be able to work with a group of people, I imagine that you're not doing this solo, that you maybe have a small group of friends that all have this kind of passion for this. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Carlos. I've really strived to find kind of a group of people my own age that I can kind of talk to about these really exciting technologies and things. But I mean, unfortunately, I've kind of had to often do these projects myself, just because I think most of the people that are currently working and developing these apps are like yourselves. You're adults at these big companies, and I think that's awesome. But I just really, it's part of my mission to actually get more people like myself at my age to get involved in virtual and augmented reality technologies. And I think it's working. It's happening slowly, but I mean, I'm a self-taught coder. I self-taught myself, and I just found whatever resources I could on YouTube or Coursera or all these different kinds of platforms. I mean, what's exciting is that it's all out there. All the opportunities are out there. Whatever you want to make, you can do it if you can dream it. And I'm a fundamental believer in that.
So would you go to, do you have a school that you're already, you're going to go to and
not yet. I haven't fully confirmed that, but VR, this is where we learn, isn't it? This is the greatest learning environment where all the possibilities are here, and I'm very thankful for just how we can connect like this.
Thank you so much, Rylan.
So Rylan,
good luck.
So Rylan, thank you.
Yeah.
Rylan, you can tell them about the project, a little bit about the project we're working on. So you do have a colleague with me, right?
You mean the project that we're working on?
Yeah.
Yes. So Me and Tom, I mean, I'm so glad to be working with this legendary VR pioneer, Tom Furness. He is incredible, and we're working on the super cockpit for the mind. It is going to be really incredible. It's a way to really link minds in a way that hasn't been possible before. We're we're designing the system to increase our intellectual capacity in a way that really it couldn't have been done in a different time and age. It had to be done now when we have the internet, when we have VR, when we have AR, when we have all these people like yourselves working together. And I think it's very exciting what we're doing to try to increase our potential as human beings.
It's fun project.
All right. Does Diamond want to ask their question? I'm about to give you the megaphone. Diamond 01.
Ryland, I am over
Hi.
here. Hi.
Hello, Diamond.
I'm also 68, and I started on a manual typewriter. And so for me to be sitting here in virtual reality, listening to you, gives me hope that the world's going to continue on and everything's going to be fine.
Thank you.
Because you
Very
have
kind of you.
such an enthusiasm for life and such an enthusiasm to make things better. And I spent a lot of years in the medical arena, and to know that you're working with physicians, and so many things in the medical field are cost prohibitive. So to use your gift to help us think outside the box, to look for nurses who need different tools, especially right now during this mess that we're in, to make their lives better, because the demand is so great. And so I'm so proud of you and just so excited. And I'm going to just tell all my friends in healthcare about you and what you're doing, and to follow you, because I think we're going to see so many things from you. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Diamond. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Diamond. All right. We got up next Joe. Good old Joe. I'm gonna hand you the megaphone. Joseph 1072.
Where are you, Joe?
Oh,
Joe.
you should be able to say something now, Joe. Maybe your mic's not connected. We'll come back to you, Joe. We'll come back to you if you can get that worked out. Let's do Sasha. Just sent you the megaphone.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, great presentation, by the way. I loved it. It's really great to see what you're working on. Very creative.
Thank you.
And
Thank
one
you,
of the
Sasha.
questions I've been asking myself, what do you see as the killer app for mixed reality, not for the business or enterprise market, but for consumers? Do you think it will catch on in the consumer market, consumer space? I think it's awesome.
Totally.
But I find it hard to see where it could have a breakthrough in the consumer market.
Actually, and by mixed reality, like you mean like that does not include VR. It is more like the AR kind of things, right?
It's like what HoloLens does, right? You
right,
have
exactly, yeah,
you see
yeah.
the real world and you place
Exactly.
virtual objects and they stay in
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. So and HoloLens is an awesome tool. HoloLens, Magic Leap, and actually Apple's own upcoming glasses. Let's be honest, we've heard the rumors. I'm sure they're going to come out with that. But I think the consumer potential is definitely there. I mean, already with I think especially Oculus, but also the kind of Steam stores. I mean, gaming and entertainment, I think, has already struck a chord with many audiences who are becoming tech savvy. And with the Quest, that became even more accessible to people, these kinds of VR consumer games. And I mean, I think just in a year or two, maybe 3, but I'm confident it'll be sooner than that. When Apple releases their glasses and Microsoft makes kind of a thinner, lighter headset, I think the social potential will definitely be there. Now, and that's hardware wise. In terms of like a software application, kind of like what I talked about. I think social VR and AR. I think especially social AR. I think that's the greatest gift to humanity because AR is going to give us context about the real world once we can enter it again after the pandemic. It's going to show us information about the shops we explore in the malls. It's going to show us, when we have to pick up our Starbucks drink. It's going to show us things that we might not have been aware of in the world. Perhaps we'll discover some lesser known restaurants or I don't know, escape room or some kind of activity that maybe wasn't known to us before. But I think AR will enable us to explore things in the real world that we weren't aware of before as well.
Yeah,
Does
good.
that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Great.
good ideas, right? It's up to people like you and myself as an engineer to come up with these ideas and make technology popular. I also think VR should have had a breakthrough a long time ago, but it's kind of it's
Yeah.
catching people who use it are kind of really into it, and people who
Yeah.
don't, they just can't even imagine using it.
Yeah.
It's right. There's a huge gap. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thanks.
personally, I think actually the biggest barrier is actually less the hardware. I think the hardware, I mean, especially with Quest, but I mean other hardware as well. I think the hardware is out there for people to have access to. I think software is the biggest application. And I'm kind of I wonder why it's taken so many years for Facebook to finally have a meaningful VR social platform. They are Facebook, right? And they have Oculus.
Mm.
So I mean, of course, they focused on the gaming side of things, but I'm more curious about what kind of social impact they might be able to have.
True.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Awesome answers.
Of course.
All right. So let's see. Joe, you want to try again? I'll hand you the megaphone one more time. Let's see if this works. Hi, Joe. You're right up front here. Try speaking for a second. All right, but I think it's something with your microphone, so we're gonna maybe try one more time after this, but we're gonna hand it off to Matt. Crazy Reality. Matt, you have the megaphone?
Hi.
Hello, Matt. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. Have a good day, good morning, or good evening to everybody. I have a question, and I would like to ask you, what do you recommend to do somebody that having the first approach to VR? What somebody should do to learn about VR and to learn in the right way.
That's a great question. I think actually going to events like this is a great way to learn about VR. I think if you're interested in creating experiences, I mean, there are many ways to do that. I mean, I think the most important thing is to have the idea and really get inspired by even like non VR things. Some of the greatest games and apps were actually less about the technology and more about the story behind it. The Super Mario games, for example, Shigeru Miyamoto, who I actually was fortunate to speak with in my journalistic times. When he created Mario, it was actually a story about his childhood experiences of exploring the nature in his homeland in Japan. And he turned that into a game. So I think when we draw from our personal experience, that is really our greatest contribution to humanity. And like through the apps I showed you here, I've drawn through my personal interests outside of VR also, in like neuroscience and classical literature and outer space exploration. And I kind of turned those ideas into games and experiences for VR and AR. So I think like that's the best place to start, is to draw from your true passions and make those a reality.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
All right. Awesome. How about Ruji? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Ruji, I'll give you the megaphone. Joe. Oh, you, Luigi?
Yeah.
Are you still here?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hi.
Would you tell me? Would you tell us about the application of AR or VR in cultural heritage?
Yes. VR and AR in culture. I mean, that's one of the most important applications. Kind of like what I showed with my Frankenstein app. A good way to achieve that is to turn the cultural heritage ideas into an interactive experience. And one way to do that, so for example, I took elements of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein novel, like the monster and the different body parts. You know, the critical moment in that book was when Victor finally creates this monster from all these body parts. And so I kind of just took that moment and made it into an interactive experience. Now, along the way, you can learn about like the kind of the significance of that literature, explore the narrative, the different plot points. So I think that that's one way to use VR and AR for cultural heritage. Of course, if you wanted to do a tourism experience of touring some kind of landmarks, that's another way to do it. I think the possibilities are kind of endless, really, and I think it's up to creators like you, and it's imagination that will propel us to create these cultural VR AR experiences. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Isaac, you have the megaphone. Isaac here? Is Isaac in the house? I don't think so. All right, we'll move on to Paul. Paul Stechy? Paul? You're also given the megaphone right now? Is Paul in the room?
So what is the question?
Oh, did you have a question, Paul?
Yes, I did. So I was wondering about the virtual world society and what that's about, because I saw it on the thing. I'm just wondering what that is.
Oh, but I'd love to turn that over to our wonderful Tom Furness, maybe to share a little bit about that. He is an amazing figure in the virtual world society. If you would, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Rylan.
Okay.
The Virtual World Society is an organization of pioneers, of people who are interested in using technology for the betterment of mankind. What we want to do is inspire people to do good with technology. It's not just virtual reality, it is augmented reality, XR, AI, all of the technologies of our age that can be applied, integrated, and applied for good. And what we want to do is cause a movement where we band together across the world to move these technologies in that direction. What we want to do is unlock intelligence. We want to link minds and hearts to lift mankind, to work on those pervasive projects that or problems that exist in the world. You know, in a way, we're sort of like the National Geographic Society of VR. What the National Geographic Society tries to do is to bring the outside into us, help us appreciate nature, help us appreciate our world, and respect it and treat it for not only ourselves but for future generations. What we want to do is actually the same thing, only instead of outside in, we want to be from the inside out. All of the wonderful, beautiful things that are inside of us in terms of our creativity, in terms of our empathy, in terms of the intellect that we have, all of this together we want to take that outside into the world and connect with other people to work on these common problems that we see around the world. And these are the biggies. This is like global warming, climate change. It's like renewable energy. It's like desolating scourges, diseases that we have around the world. We believe that we can basically link our minds and hearts and solve these problems together. And there's really no other organization that's trying to do this in applying the kind of advanced technologies of our age in a systematic way. So the Virtual World Society is an organization of people who are trying to bring that to pass. Right now we have in our relationship with Educators in VR and the Virtual World Society, we have approaching 3,000 members that are banding together to do this. And what we're trying to do is bring in others who want to join us and to help us organize these communities of providing the use of the technology. We want to bring in families. We want to bring in those people who actually are developing the hardware technology, and of course the communities of need. And all of these come together into this ecosystem that is sort of a super glue of bringing all this together. So that's sort of in a nutshell what the Virtual World Society is about. You can find more about it by going to our website, virtualworldsociety.org. So the time is about out, so we should, any further questions for Rylan?
We have about 6 people in the queue, but I believe this room stays open. So if you'd like to hang around,
I can stay
hang out with us. Yeah.
longer as well. Yeah.
Well, let me mention one thing before we sort of turn it on and we put everybody together to meet with each other. There is another Fireside coming up in 2 weeks' time. Christopher Stapleton, a member of the board of directors of the Virtual World Society, assisted by Steve Lewis, is going to be giving us a little bit of a rundown on how we treat, how VR can be used to treat people in isolation. And this is going to be an amazing experience for us all. And Chris is actually here in the audience. Chris, could you come up front a little bit here, and at least people can recognize you? Yep, he's navigating his way through. There he is. And this handsome guy is Christopher Stapleton, and he's a co-founder of the Virtual World Society, and we'll be talking about what's going on with isolation and VR. Okay. Any other questions Eva can bring you in to ask?
Let me see.
Fantastic.
Right,
And also you can follow me on Twitter at Rylan Daniels to constantly stay up to date with all the visions of the future I love to share with the world. And I love you guys. You're such an amazing community.
Well, thank you, Rylan. You are, again, you're a world treasure, and you're one of those eyes that we are holding up to show us the future and to take us there. Even like Diamond over here. Diamond, you said you were 68, I believe. Then we old guys are going to have to depend on you to help us, and we're living longer lives than we used to, but we want to make use of that time we still have on the earth, and we're behind you. We want to see the world through your eyes and help you guide us, help guide us to where we should go. I do want to acknowledge our help today from Educators in VR, Laurel Van Vossen. Laurel is and Daniel, her colleague, and have been wonderful, along with Donna. And Mark is over here is Mark still here over on the side? Mark, I think, is around somewhere. Mark is the one who created this beautiful space for us. And we want to thank him for that.
He's right behind you.
Oh, he's behind me. Mark, there he is. See this handsome guy here? That's Mark. And Mark, you could take a bow for this beautiful world you created for us. We really appreciate it.
Well,